Hello everyone, this is Dr. Jason West, and I'm a Lyme Fighter. And what that means is I'm a healthcare provider, I'm a doctor that's on the trenches of fighting Lyme and chronic Lyme disease every day. And this is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. And this is really neat because this is an opportunity for a lot of people to become educated, and educated is empowering. Because Lyme disease, some people think it's the gospel truth, it's black and white. This is exactly what's wrong. A lot of other people think that it's voodoo, it doesn't really exist, and that there's nothing to it. And so one of the things that we wanted to share with people is some of the outcomes that we've had for Lyme, the information, the highs, the lows, and I needed to tell you my Lyme story because I didn't decide when I came out of school that I was going to be a Lyme doctor. I didn't want to be someone that was treating Lyme. I just didn't know very much about it. The universe chose me, and here's my story. I came back 17 years ago to practice with my father, and right after we started practicing together, he got really ill. Now, he didn't have Lyme, but the story is really important because he had really bad stomach problems and ulcerative colitis, had really bad skin problems, he couldn't move his joints, his eyes swelled shut, and we took him into the different providers and the specialists, and he was really undiagnosed and untreated, but it was very serious. And I was at a functional medicine conference trying to get some more understanding about chronic unresolved healthcare conditions. And one of the doctors there said, "Jason, I think that your dad has scurvy." And I said, "Scurvy? What are you talking about? That was solved hundreds of years ago with, sailors sucking on limes and eating lemons, and it's vitamin C." And he said, I think that's what it sounds like. And as we put the story together, he had an old mercury filling, an old diseased tooth, had a crown over it. He bit into a nut, it cracked the crown, and he swallowed some of that infection and some of those heavy metals into his GI system, and he couldn't absorb vitamins. And so once they took care of that tooth and they did some vitamin infusion therapy, he made a miraculous recovery. He went from death's door to pretty good health in weeks. It was amazing. And so I went back to school and I got a second doctorate as a naturopathic medical doctor just so that I could do vitamin infusion therapies, that I could help people just like that doctor helped my dad. And one of my instructors in that course said, "Hey, there is this terrible epidemic, this mismanaged, misdiagnosed condition that people have a lot of unresolved and weird conditions where their stomachs are a mess, they can't sleep right, they have polyarthralgia, they have autoimmune disorders, they have cardiac problems, and sometimes they're told it's all in their head, and really what that is it's Lyme disease. And if people have those conditions, you need to rule that in or rule that out." And I had two thoughts of that going through my head when my instructor told me that. One, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because my undergraduate college studies in microbiology said this about Lyme: vector-borne illness, Lyme, Connecticut, tick, bullseye rash, polyarthralgia, lots of joints hurt, a couple weeks of antibiotics, you're healed. End of chapter, end of paragraph, end of disease, next disease. The other half of me said, "Oh my gosh, I think there's a lot of people that may have this condition." And as I started practicing again, I had a lady bring her daughter in the office that said, "The system's given up on us. It sent us home. We've been in and out of the hospital for years. We just spent months and months in the big hospital in my area, and they didn't have any options, and they basically said, go home and die." And the mom brought the girl here and said, "Do you have any options for her?" And because I had just gone through that program, I thought, well, maybe she has Lyme disease. And the mom said, "That's the only thing that we haven't tested her for." And we did the testing, and sure enough, he had Lyme disease. And I felt like the world's greatest doctor for 2 or 3 seconds. Because naturally, if you're watching the video, you say, "Well, what can you do for her?" And the mom said, "How are you going to fix my little girl?" And I said, "Well, this is what I know about this is you give antibiotics and different types of antibiotics, some anti-inflammatories. Sometimes you have to do antifungals and autoimmune medications." And she said, "We've tried that for years, and it didn't work. If that would have worked, we wouldn't be here." And out of desperation, I said, well, maybe we should do what they did for my dad, which is that vitamin infusion therapy, and they balanced his biochemistry and his biomechanics, and they reset his nervous system, and they worked on his mind-body healing, and he got better. Maybe we can do that for your little girl. And that's what we did. And you can see her story of how we put our health back together on our video blog called The Daily Dose Vitamin H. And Vitamin H stands for Vitamin Hope, because people that have this condition, so many times they're out of hope, they're out of time, they're out of options, and they just don't know what to do. It's really, really tough on people that have it. And it's really tough on their inner circle, their spouse, their husband, their kids, their wife. It's really tough. So we put that together, her stories on there. And And all of a sudden I started having people come from Washington, from Alaska, from Texas, from Florida that had this condition. And as we started putting together programs to help people to regain and restore their hope, we started having some really good outcomes. And so I'd like to invite you on a journey. There's no cost or obligation of an insider's view of someone that treats Lyme every single day. You can go to the link below. You can sign up for our email information program. Again, there's no cost or obligation. And what we're going to talk about is Lyme. What's wrong? Where does it come from? What are the risk factors? What treatments that I see that are working? What are the barriers to healing for people that don't get better? Because there are some huge problems that prevent people from getting to better from this chronic infectious disease that causes so many different problems. And it's a lot bigger than, the transmission is a lot bigger than HIV, and it's the fastest growing infectious disease. So the link below tells you about that, of what's working, what's not working, gives you tons of video testimonials. And as it being Lyme Disease Awareness Month, education is empowerment. Empowerment gives you the opportunity and knowledge to make good clinical decisions, and it can change people. It can help them get their quality of life. This is Dr. Jason West, and we'll see you on the video segment tomorrow.